Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jaco with Unleashing Intuition Secrets, and I'm joined once again by Mel K. Mel, how are you doing today?
I am great because I've been so looking forward to speaking with you.
So nice. Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have you on. You're such a wealth of information, and what you share, I love it. What do you
Thank
have?
you so much. And you are the best person to go to figure out what's BS and what's actually real.
Yes.
And right now it's very confusing, though it's very exciting if you are connecting the dots, which I know you are.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So here's my first thought of the day. I really believe that I feel like God won. I know everyone's feeling very demoralized, very how much more can we take, all of this. But between the last 48 hours, something has come over me that is just saying, checkmate, game over. And I really feel we're on the cusp of that. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm seeing some really good stuff. I guess there was one guy that was in a meeting with Trump, and that was he revealed a lot of information on that about the audits and the vax and Afghanistan and stuff like that. Looks like they're making some kind of negotiations with people at the top right now, as far as like, you basically, you guys, we have you, and
Right.
you definitely lost. What do you want? So because once we come in, all bets are off. We're gonna like really hammer everybody on this, and
Yeah.
I think that's what's coming.
I absolutely agree. And I was watching the whole Afghanistan, though a lot of it looks like Wag the Dog. Right. And I know you know a lot about out there, but again, you and I try to kind of always go to the enemy is not the enemy that most people think. I see the whole next level at this point, really connecting dots. Like nobody talked about that. I don't know, and who is it? It's the Prime Minister of Japan stepped down 3 days ago. Nobody's talking about that. Merkel is about to run for re-election, and she's probably, the whole Hitler Merkel regime is probably almost done after 70 years. There's all these little things happening. Like they keep speaking things like Myanmar, where in America, the deep state and the cabal is telling us, Myanmar and Guinea and Haiti and all these places where the George Soros NGOs, have gone in and infiltrated and then placed in a candidate very similar to the color revolution here. But it's coming every day. I feel like something is being revealed on the level of the deep state being exposed, and they can't stop it.
Yeah. So the audits, we looked at Maricopa County, and that seemed to drag on and drag on. They said we're going to come out with results, and it's like, where are the results? So I was thinking about that the other day, and so I've been saying that they're going to do all of the states. Every state will have an audit, and I think they've actually done that behind the scenes.
Right.
They're ready to, now that they have all the information, instead of just releasing one at a time.
Right.
They're going to release everything. So it's going to be such a major reveal that the Democrats and all those other people that have been manipulating the system and gotten their way in there, they allowed that to happen so that they could expose them, more of them. Yeah. And now it's ready to really, the hammer time is so here. It's right around the corner now.
Right. And here's the great part. It's not going to just expose the election fraud in America. It's going to expose the election fraud everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because it's the same people going into every country, just like they came in here.
Good
but
point.
You know what? I think they cheated in 2016 and we're being watched. I think they cheated in 2018 and we're being watched. And I think they were allowed to cheat in 2020 and not just in America.
Yep. Yeah, I think Canada's going to see some issues. We'll definitely see some in France.
Oh, yeah.
Australia. Yeah, I mean, the list goes on and on. But once that's exposed, it's a political class that's gone forever. But what else? Because that's just the tip of the iceberg. Right. Then we start to look at the military. Then we start to look at the educational system, and on and on and on. It's gonna take a while, but the once that top domino goes, then Trump steps back in, and we'll never see this stuff happen again. And it's going to be just cleanup time after cleanup time after cleanup time going forward.
Right. Yeah, and I also honestly think a lot of these people have switched sides. If you, we know that they have, but
Yeah.
I'm saying we are watching them acting in the role that they were forced to play.
Right.
Because too much of what is being said, these people aren't dumb. It's not an accident. They've been manipulating the world forever, especially the people that are right now. People don't really realize that everyone that Joe Biden brought back in, because obviously he's never been a leader, he's always been a follower. But the people that he brought back in, especially Blinken, but these people all, the entire time Trump was in office, were working across the street. Remember, Obama didn't leave town. They decided, Trump's temporary. We're going to keep going ahead with our deep state, one world order, COVID, all of the stuff that they plan to take down humanity, to end America. End America is the goal. We've watched it play out in real time. And I just feel like it's all converging right now, with the ultimate thing being the election being stolen without a doubt. But also, on the 18th, and not everyone gets how big the Epstein boomerang will be. But back to Blinken, who is right now Secretary of State. Two things about him. He, on the floor, John McCain, who I'm not a big fan of, whatever, but whatever the case may be, John McCain said on the floor during Obama's reign that Anthony Blinken was the most dangerous man in DC, and especially in foreign policy. Don't let him anywhere near foreign policy. Right. So now he's running the State Department and all this stuff. We know it's not Biden. Okay. This Blinken guy also, his father was Maxwell, who is Ghislaine Maxwell's father.
Yeah.
His father, Blinken's father, was Maxwell's father's attorney.
Whoa.
So I find that, I'm like, what? So Blinken, that's running our country right now, basically. At least he's the front man, foreign policy wise.
Right.
He also was close with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. He also has been close for 20 years, if not longer, with George Soros. So if you look at all of this and you know that a judge just told Ghislaine Maxwell on September 18th, all of her documents, I heard like 1 million, have to be released. You see all this stuff happening, and then 9/11, and somehow Spike Lee right now has documentary on HBO about 9/11 being an inside job, basically by the Bush Cheney cabal. At the same time, we have the impeachment movie that Monica Lewinsky helped write coming out on regular TV this week. And I just feel like there's just I've always said this Epstein boomerang, there's something to the entire thing. And I just feel like the deep state is going to, like, remember how we always thought it's going to be like, go, and it's going to be just I really feel like we are pretty close to that.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty spectacular. So we watched Afghanistan unravel very quickly. I think that was by design, like you talking about the wag the dog type of a movie. Right. I think because I was there for quite some time, and right. I was around Taliban guys, and they worked very well with us, very well with us. And I'm talking about the CIA good guy, right. Well with us. So not the ones that were manipulating stuff as we all knew. But I think that's what's happened. That there was a deal, white hat deal, with the Taliban. That's why they were able to roll in. There's never been in history a takedown with no shots fired, pretty much all the way into the Capitol like that. Right. And then they just kind of like, remember, they opened the shops. Of course, the shops have been closed because of COVID, and everybody's masked up. So I started pointing that out very often. Look, Taliban don't wear masks.
No,
they're probably not getting the vaccination either. And
right.
Yep. So unfortunately, though, and this might be part of exposure as well, they started making a deal again with the ISI in Pakistan. So Pakistan came over and helped them eliminate the last vestige of resistance they had. Right. Think of Masood or something like that. And it wasn't Masood, but anyway, one of the last vestiges of resistance. Right. And they had drones, from what we're hearing, and stuff like that. So that the ISI, remember, they supported Osama bin Laden. They flew him out of the country when we almost had him in a helicopter. and then landed him. He was basically in a very nice home, $1 million home, right next to ISI headquarter training facility. And that's where SEAL Team 6, of course, came in and got him. So they're back to making their evil deals. ISI is basically a terrorist organization in its own right, because I worked in Pakistan for a long time. Every time we start to get hot on the terrorist situation, that ISI headquarters would be bombed.
Right.
So there's definitely some problems in Pakistan. So that might be another area that's being exposed right now.
Right.
Is what I'm thinking.
I agree too. And I also, a lot of people don't know, because you were there, Rumsfeld, Cheney, all the New World Order, frontliners, Kissinger, all these people, there was actually, before we went in after 9/11 there was a lot going on in Pakistan with a lot of different countries, and also in Afghanistan, all these countries, Turkey. There was a whole thing. They were working together on a lot of stuff before the Americans came in under the guise of going after the terrorists from 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
And now when you look back at it, and we talked, I think last time I was on, about when Wesley Clark says, Rumsfeld said to him, "We're going into Iraq." And he was like, "Why?" And then they were like, Wesley Clark tells a story. Anyone can look it up. I'm sure it's nowhere on YouTube, but go somewhere else. And he tells this story, and everything he said came to pass. They were going into basically every country that was against the central bank, United Nations, New World Order, and the Fourth Reich. That all these countries were, especially Libya, Yugoslavia, all these countries were like, and if you now just look back in history and you watch what just happened in Afghanistan, you kind of got to think, this isn't what it seems.
Right. Very good. And that's what's going to happen, going forward. When we're looking at the vaccination and stuff like that, they allow that to run forward because it's being exposed like crazy. They're suppressing the information and still trying to get people to be vaccinated because they're making money. They don't care.
Right.
They don't care that it's a flawed, vaccination. They've even, put stuff in it that's going to be, very deadly going forward. So they're allowing them to basically expose themselves with all this stuff.
Right.
And then once they come in, they get to take down the medical tyranny as well.
Right.
So the medical tyranny that's, controlling the world right now. Imagine that going down. How massive that system is. And
right.
The people that are going to be charged with, murder and, trying to take down governments and businesses and so forth. It's staggering, what's going to be coming about in the near future.
Right. And we're hearing, it's funny because I look at Japan and Germany in the last few days as stuff is coming out, and with Fulmick and the prime minister of Germany stepping down, not in the mainstream media, by the way, Suga, who replaced Abe. And I'm looking at Merkel on her way out. It looks pretty much for sure. And and it looks like the people might be taking back those countries and the deep state's going down, but it also is connected to the crime against humanity, I think, because we're watching India and other countries are starting to sue the WHO about blocking ivermectin. And when humanity, and I mean, look, millions of people in America lost family members, lost children, even though we shouldn't have lost any children, that's a whole nother story. Lost grandparents, oh my God, so many, their parents. When people find out what we've been saying all along about hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin, not only curing it, but being a prophylactic, and their family members died needlessly, how do you come back from that? How? You don't,
and they're not. So that's one of the things that, once they expose this, it's going to be, you better run for the jail. You better run for the jail, and hope somebody will take you in there.
Right. Exactly.
Because the people are going to be pissed, and they're pissed now. You see right now, all across the country, the young, like the college kids are like, fuck Biden, fuck Biden, fuck Biden. I mean, like all everywhere across the country, at all of the games, at all of the sports, everything, they're all yelling this.
Right.
It's a groundswell that's coming.
Yeah. And that's also because luckily these college games aren't controlled by the CCP and the Marxist Socialist New World Order that controls the NFL, NBA, Hollywood. It's funny because a lot of people are now talking about the disgrace that is Hollywood, but also people have to realize China, the CCP, took all their money out of Hollywood. It's gone, And the bottom line is they're not showing Hollywood movies in China anymore. CCP. They're not showing. Yeah, they're not financing. When I left LA in 2014, China was pretty much owned the top 6 agencies in terms of investing in them, and then they were putting so much money into movies. And there were people in Hollywood warning people like, "What? Don't take money from the CCP, and you're going to be making propaganda." Well, obviously, we now know a lot of them were making propaganda on purpose because they were in on it. But at the time, you're watching it over time. But it looks like, the CCP got what they needed from Hollywood, and they are out.
Oh, wow. Yeah, they control that system, and they just pulled the plug on it.
Yeah. And Weinstein, the head of Hollywood, is now on trial for another 10 rapes, I think, in Hollywood right now. They transferred him. You think he's not talking? And Buck, you think that guy's not talking?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, all adrenochrome those guys use, that's going to be their downfall. So
oh my God.
a lot of those guys were into that.
Right.
The Epstein Island tour and all the crazy stuff. A lot of people that don't know that Epstein Island, that's just a piece of that bigger picture. Basically, they use that, to control people, and they have for a long time.
Yeah,
these honeypots and stuff that all the intel organizations use to control people. The exposure on that is going to be over the top. We just saw same thing. We just saw a little piece of that iceberg, and it's going to be lots of reveals going forward. Just hold on to your hats. We keep talking about, get your popcorn ready, but the real popcorn, I think, is what the good thing is on the other side of this is we have because I'm actually working with an independent movie producer, come out with really good films and like a SEAL sci-fi movie.
Right.
Yeah, so that's coming, so everyone's
so
like,
funny
it's going to be so bad. But no, you have to take a little bit of the bad right now, so we can collapse this horrible system that's been controlling for thousands of years.
Right.
Finally get to a point where we can really rock it with our consciousness, have amazing, world.
Yeah. I just thought that's so funny because I just got off the phone with somebody we both know, pretty famous actor, and who's made a movie that you and I met at the premiere. Oh, yeah. And a couple other people. And let me tell you something. We talked about it. We got also really into like what everyone's part to play is here. And the arts were created by God. Most artists are divinely inspired.
That's good. Good. Yeah.
Divinely inspired, divinely led, all of that. Look, how I've told you before, and I've told my viewers and your viewers to go to the UN website, look up the Lucis Trust, i.e. the Lucifer Trust.
Mm-hmm.
Forget Google and Wikipedia. Go to DuckDuckGo, wherever, put in Alice Bailey, the Lucis Trust, United Nations, right? And look at the 10 ways to get the one world order. Well, in there is to corrupt art and make it ugly. For Lucifer, the Lucis Trust, Lucifer, to take a hold of art, God's creation, art, whether it be filmmaking, music, all of it. If you are, if you're an artist in any way, whether you pursued it for a career or not, that most art is divinely inspired, I believe. And all the way down to like lighting on a movie. People don't realize I feel like everything is led by God that's good. And they have so corrupted and made it so evil and used art and movies and animation and all of this for evil.
Yeah.
And, and that's why I talked to you, but also other people about the arts. We got to take back the arts for God too. What have we allowed here? But I have to tell you, it was part of Rockefeller and the Fourth Reich and the whole creation of propaganda media. It's all for evil. And they hijacked it. And that's why all Hollywood, all these people are going to be exposed as being complicit.
Yeah, definitely.
Complicit. So, and on the other side, we can go back.
How did they get, this much power where they all, combined their resources, the Nazis, the banking, the Rockefellers, Rothschilds. So on and on and on, all of these different groups have combined their total focus into controlling, the world right now. So that's why it seems so overwhelming, but it's not. It's been watched for quite a long time by a lot of people that are very dedicated to taking these guys down. They've been waiting, biding their time, getting everything set up, and the hammer's about to fall. going to be
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah,
amazing.
and I'm pretty sure, we both, I think a year ago, had a show and talked about
Mhm.
the executive order about foreign interference in our election that
Right.
Trump signed in 2018.
Hmm.
I believe that executive order might expire on September 12th. So I don't know if it was signed or not. I think that's true. I'm trying to find it, but maybe somebody else can find that. So I have a feeling, a lot of people are nervous about 9/11, but I actually have a good feeling about 9/11. I just really feel like that they are all so caught, so exposed, many of them caught, they could keep talking about they're going to, uh, close Gitmo, this ridiculous regime with Biden and Blinken. And it's like, but if you look at it, they're building more stuff there. They're building a studio there. Look, I don't want to sell hopium, but I am saying that there's too much going on not to at least step back and say, God won. Like, it's just, there's too much happening. And also the BBC, I had to admit today that they made up footage of a terrorist attack in Syria.
Hmm.
Well, doesn't that mean that they all are doing that?
Yeah.
Well, I
But
mean,
a lot of remote viewers are seeing that there's a nuke going off somewhere. So
well,
I,
I
I
think
don't I
that's the
don't I
problem.
don't I don't see that. They probably see that on the timeline that is the heavily manipulated one. But I don't see that. But the possibility of that being there, obviously, because these are very, very high speed, remote viewers, and a
Yeah,
lot of them are seeing
yeah.
it. A lot of psychics are seeing it, and I'm like, I don't see it, but I see that there is that potential, and maybe that was what, you know, this has been pulled back for as long as it has, because so many, myself included, have speculated that was the issue. So if they do
Maybe
move
they're
in,
daring them,
will they set it off? I don't know.
or maybe they're being set up. Maybe
Sure.
they're
There you
daring
go.
them.
Right.
Maybe they're daring them. You pull your false flag. We're going to expose it in real time to all the people on this planet, just like they're exposing in real time that ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine worked and could have saved all their relatives' lives
Yeah.
and their friends' lives. And it's like, I've seen the remote viewing stuff. I think it's amazing, but I don't have any of that ability. But I do watch it and I see it, and I also see the gematria stuff, and then
Yeah.
I also see the Bible stuff, and a lot of it is converging at the same time.
Oh, wow. Mm.
And looking back also at the Red October thought, and I thought that the next hit would be them pulling the plug and collapsing Wall Street.
Mm.
But then I see some things also going on that it looks like maybe the White Hats already are controlling BlackRock and Vanguard and all. I mean, like, it's all very confusing because there's so many players that it seems to be interconnected.
Yeah.
But when you first look at it, it doesn't look like it. But again, what you said is the most important, which is it doesn't matter because there's such a small group of them. And, I really believe, as you do, that the overwhelming evidence of the election fraud, not just here, but on the planet, will also trigger something. It just seems like a lot of things are coming to a head, but I have this peaceful feeling that it's in a good way.
Right.
And, if they try to pull off a false flag, which I believe that the alliance is like you're saying, that they're planning to maybe, but that
Hmm.
they're daring them.
Right.
We dare you, you
Now,
know?
now we've all seen the James Bond movies, and I can tell you that stuff is kind of true, actually. Having worked on that side, we did stop some pretty significant things when I was in the CIA. Of course, I'll never be able to expose that. They'll have to do that at some point if they want to. But the amount of stuff that's actually been stopped out by the good guys is pretty staggering.
Yeah.
Will that be the thing that they let slip through? Because you're talking about, it could be the last straw that everybody's like, will just be like on them. I don't think so. I don't think they'll let them do that. I don't think there's other forces that won't let them do that as well. But
Right.
it could be exposed that they're just about ready to do that. And that, like you said, would be the thing that really would set people off.
Right.
And trying to expose that is going to be, very, very, a very fine line, because we
Yeah.
would know that stuff was coming. We would stop it out and tell everybody, hey, that's going to be involved or maybe taken out or whatever. This is possibly coming for you. And then they would like move out of the area, and then we would come in and take care of business. But that is that's a dicey one. So we'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
Well, yeah, we have to. I mean, all possibilities are out there. We only know what we know right now. But you know, the one thing you do know about what you just said is that Space Force isn't about Space Force.
Right.
It's not
Yeah.
like they made fun of it. But Space Force, I think, had something to do with, because the deep state, it is a fact, had nuclear weapons and like kill switches all over the world.
Yeah. Good
They've been
point.
planning this a very long time.
Right.
So yeah, I believe some moves have been made because they know that there was supposedly nuclear material in New York, and they connected that to Epstein, and that story went away real fast too. And
Mm.
you know, yeah, they're willing to do it. We know that they're willing to kill innocent people to keep their narrative going. It just appears that people have woken up to the point where they're like, are they really going to try to pull another 9/11? And if there, I feel like this deep state cabal, this Davos, you know, this Switzerland crew, that they fear the most us being awake and united as humanity, because the whole goal has always been of Rockefeller and Kissinger and all the way back, you know, this goes way back, has always been to enslave humanity. And they're this close. They almost pulled it off with COVID. And I think they didn't. I think I don't know. I just feel like at this point, people are awake worldwide and looking at them. And also before people like us were out there, like yelling from the rooftops that the enemy is not your neighbors. The enemy is so much, is above us all. Because before our kinds of shows, nobody was saying, look at the United Nations. What is going on? Look at the World Health Organization. Look at the World Economic Forum. I never thought about Davos and Bilderberg, but now all the names and Gates Foundation and all of this, they all intertwine. It's amazing because it's such a small group.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, as we move forward, that small group, you know, has been getting smaller and will get smaller to the point where it goes out of existence.
Right.
And the world's a better place. When does it, you know, this thing seems to have been stretched out quite a bit, but you know, we keep saying, we feel it's right around the corner. It goes a little bit further. But there's things that are definitely coming to a head on many different levels that won't allow it to go much further. And you know, from the stuff that I'm hearing, from what I saw from this one gentleman that actually was on a meeting with Trump when he was talking to the generals,
Right.
you know, the stuff with the, you know, that came in with this hurricane just recently that caused all the damage. Obviously, you know, that was a manipulated, you know, event, and they even talked about it in that meeting as being, so now, you know, a lot of people are like, do they really control, you know, the weather? You know, there's been, you know, all the way back to World War II.
Right, exactly. I was going to say,
talking
they've
about
been
it.
doing this since the 50s.
Right, exactly. So yeah, there's they were talking about that. So look how many people unfortunately perished in that event.
And they're lying about it too. This past Ida apparently did more damage than Katrina, and they're acting like it didn't even happen really. It's very bizarre.
It is.
I'll tell you what, all I know, also you and I think we talked about it, but they restarted HARP. So everyone should just go look, HAARP, if you think that manipulating the weather is impossible, and start there, you know, and then dig a little deeper. And it's amazing because you have to question all of it. Because remember when it was Chavez that said that they manipulated the earthquake in Haiti. And then it was like, you know, and then they make it like he's crazy. Da, da, da. But also Bolsonaro said, no, those wildfires were manipulated weather, you know. And then I remember that Abacoa, when they destroyed the Chinese submarine station in the Caribbean, and that thing sat on top of there for 5 days, that hurricane. And then oddly moved to Epstein Island for 7 hours. And then Trump drew that weird, remember when he drew with the Sharpie and people like, he thinks it's going to Alabama. But what he was really saying was, this is all manipulated, you know? So just to me, I just think that if you're not waking up from one thing, you're going to wake up from another. But again, what does that mean for we the people? And not just, and we have to stop thinking about we the people of the United States. We have to realize, no, this is we the people of humanity versus a truly demonic possessed group of oligarchs and tech billionaires and ridiculous monarchies and these people that really do look at us, you know about the CIA and the UN and everything, but They used to call, they still, useless eaters, we're overpopulated,
Yep.
climate change. I mean, our planet has changed 1 degree since the 1800s. And, tomorrow we're all going it's like, it's all based on fear and compliance, and they're so close. And I just think God wins.
Yeah.
It's like Satan is so close.
So I've seen a lot of hurricane damage, and when a hurricane comes through, it's like just flattens everything, especially Cat 4, Cat 5. So this was right at Cat 5 level. So I just recently drove through right after, like within a day or two after
Oh,
that
right.
hurricane. Yeah, coming across country.
Right.
And we pulled off the road to like, have a bathroom break.
Right.
And unfortunately it was where, because it looked good, and because there was no damage really. I was like, there's probably good here. So I pulled over, and I'd gotten, fortunately, gas, because I heard there was gas issues. So pulled over, and long line at the truck stop. And I was like, oh, we're not going to go in there.
Right.
And so I rounded the corner, and there was a power line down with wires, on the road, but you couldn't see really any other damage.
Weird.
And I've seen pictures of damage, but where I drove through, and I was watching, I was looking, I did not see where this thing came through and just crashed all the vegetation
Right.
like normally they do. But it was definitely a rain event. So that's interesting. And it was still a rain event all the way up the coast,
But
all
also
through
the
every
one thing,
state.
the one thing about the damage that I find really interesting, that's really interesting to hear, because I even read this morning, and it was a New Orleans paper that said that 1 million people are still without power.
Right.
So, and if you think back to Texas, when they had their thing, and you think back to the World Economic Forum, which after the COVID Great Reset book was the cyber polygon tabletop exercise, which was taking down all of our grids. So first it was like the testing Texas, and we know the CCP and the Biden and all, they all sold out to the CCP and Gates and all that.
Right.
So I just think, well, maybe, if they're saying, if you're not seeing much damage in terms of a standard hurricane, which the wind is really what gets you in the real bad hurricanes, it's the water and the wind. Because I was in Andrew, the place I was in was destroyed. And I will tell you, it was the scariest thing. But if they're still without power, maybe it's just they're going for it. They're attacking our grid one after another with this weapon warfare. You had to flee from Lake Tahoe, right?
Right. Yep. Yeah. The fire there. So, Lake Tahoe has plenty of water in it. But there was a dry, I predicted it was coming, unfortunately. We drove up the coast. We had a speaking event at Mount Shasta.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Yeah. So we went up there, and as you're going up the coast, you see Lake Shasta is like just a trickle, and there's fires all around. There had been fires. It was all burned. I was like, oh, this is a beautiful forest. But when you go further back away from that, no burns. And all the reservoirs that weren't around there, full.
Right.
Rivers flowing, streams flowing. They emptied that on purpose. The same thing with Oroville. They emptied it. They kept it flowing, kept it flowing. Of course, they had to keep the salmon running. Right. So that's their excuse. So they let all the water run out, even though they knew there was going to be a drought. So these reservoirs are designed to go 7 years in a drought. And 2 years ago, they were completely full. And Trump was even saying, hey, you guys want me to build an extension on those? And they're like, oh, no, we don't want you to do anything for us. We don't like you.
Right.
So,
and they reversed all of the water legislation in Northern California. I mean, all you have to do is go back to the movie Chinatown. They've been manipulating the water in California from the beginning.
Great movie. Yeah. Good.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? That's what the whole movie was about.
Yeah.
Manipulation of the water. And I have to say, this is a long plan, but also the CCP controls California, if people aren't clear. Like they 100%. There's a World Economic Forum that I think Feinstein, with her 20-year Chinese CCP spy working in her office, like christened in San Francisco. And all of that stuff. That's why people should be furious about California. But even still, back to what we were saying about the World Economic Forum, first the COVID, now the grid, because a lot of people think grid, and I think they think just our energy grid. It's actually our like food supply, transit, electricity, of course, but it's everything that makes our infrastructure, which they just made a bill for infrastructure that includes zero infrastructure. It's really about making a nanny slave state forever in America, their infrastructure bill. But this isn't, it looks like to me, this is two, and what's three? Fourth industrial revolution, when they no longer need humans, they just need some human robots.
Oh, yeah.
And that Klaus Schwab even writes a whole book about it.
Yeah, that's definitely where they're moving. If they continue to have power, which is not going to, happen for much longer, fortunately.
No.
So they would definitely turn whoever's still human into an AI bot, and AI and robots and everything else would just run everything else. And we only have like maybe 500 million people, and they'd be very, very happy because everybody else dies off with their little constant every 6 months. You're going to get this shot. And they're going to be loaded with stuff that basically, as all of them have been, which basically takes down the immune system and makes you vulnerable. The people that are getting the shots, it looks like they're the ones that are producing all the variants. Right. So if we can just stop this madness with the vaccines, we'll eventually stop these variants out. Yeah. And but otherwise, they're going to continue to roll out one after another, manufacturing themselves in people's bodies.
Right. Well, also, the other thing that you said about that, I just learned yesterday, is the CDC, if you get the shot, right, and you die or have an injury within 14 days, they put it as you're unvaccinated. So anyone can look it up, but look it up in the right place. Yes.
That's what that was. I saw that. Oh,
so all the variants.
That's why they're saying all the unvaccinated are,
Is it so bad? Is it so bad? Just anyone can look it up. Just look in the right places, but you will find it that the CDC right now is saying 14 days out after the vaccine, then the doctor can put it down as vaccinated. So, and which is so stupid, because when you get the flu shot for the last 20 years, most people get symptoms of the flu right away.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So they're hiding how dangerous it is by saying it's the unvaccinated. And that's why more and more people have to get the voice, speak up. It's getting worse and worse. I think they just deplatformed on YouTube the guy that created, not just ivermectin, but now the guy who, I think the guy who won the Nobel Prize for ivermectin. And then guess what? The World Health Organization 15 years ago published something that ivermectin is a first-class drug for humans. And the FDA is putting out, you're not a horse, you're not a cow. You shouldn't be taking ivermectin this week. It's just like.
Yeah. They're suppressing that, and monoclonal, stuff that they're doing that big here in Florida. It's real. A lot of people coming out saying it saved my life and so forth. It's if you get it soon enough, you start to get the symptoms, you go in and it's like you're done, you're good, you're over it. But they're trying to shut that down too. Yeah. So it's everything that's going to keep us alive. Everyone's seeing this. Right. They're trying to kill us off. People are going to be, well, they already are. They're pretty pissed, and being very patient. But I think the reward of being patient is going to be coming soon. Yeah. And we all have to keep pushing back. Don't get that vaccination. Don't let it's almost like you want, the people that have drug abuse, you have that drug interdiction. Someone wants to go get the vaccination. You have that vaccination intervention. You get the family together, say, hey, we got to talk to you. You can't go get the vaccine. It's that kind of thing. Yeah. It's crazy how there's so much information out there not to do that. It's almost like they're drug addicts. We got to go get it. It's like, come on. You're
and it's also like you say, history is written by the victors. So why let them in on that? They've tried this and succeeded at the same narrative not that long ago in 1938. Getting, and it wasn't just Jews, it was Slavs, Gypsies, all over. People don't understand. Part of that was an epidemic to get people into the ghettos, and then they spread it in the ghettos, and then it was involuntary quarantine. And next thing you know, people were going to death camps. This has happened all over the world. It happened in Maoist China, Stalin's Russia, Hitler's Germany. This is not a new playbook. And the sad part is it's the same exact people that did it in all those countries. And people have to connect the dots. And this is why I say at this point, America, I don't think there's any saving Washington, D.C. at this point. I just feel like it's so corrupt. It's so past the point that Jefferson said, we the people, once they turned into tyrants and despots and a monarchy or whatever they are down there, technocracy, real fascism, that we the people had the duty to abolish it and replace them with again, back to the Constitution, a constitutional government for the sovereign states of the Republic, which we are a constitutional republic. And that's where I see this going ultimately. I think we the people of the United States have to pull out our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, our Bible, and whatever we believe in, love and faith and everything, and say, forget all the division. That united we stand, divided we fall is not a joke, because we are, in my opinion, 1775. And it's like,
Totally.
America's young. Do you want America to exist? Do you want America to be saved from communist, socialist, new world order, psychopaths? Well, if you do, drop the division and let's just all get behind America.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to happen.
Yeah, that's absolutely. And, the attacks against us that are basically bringing this information out, even people that are infiltrated our groups are starting to, present themselves as not good people. And so that it's very frustrating, but, it's to be expected, because this is the way they come in and divide and conquer and crush everything that could be resistant to them. Right. What do you think? So we talk about how all these different, like the medical establishment, the political establishment, the military is going to get cleaned out. Oh, yeah. How about the social giants? What do you see for them?
Well, what I see for them is I see some legitimate movement with people that are aligned with, I believe, Trump and the good people, that we're aligned with. We met a long time ago at an event, and there's a group of core people that I see being used right now by, like you said, people are being used to give disinformation. People are being used to give good information, but I feel everyone is playing a specific part right now. Mm-hmm. And that includes our viewers and, and our subs and everyone. We're all in this war. Donald Trump is just a player in the war, be it a general like Patton, but we're in a war. Mm-hmm. And we have aligned. And this is like, you've been in war, Yep. And I think that there's a really good team built. And I think, like always, dark to light is happening on every level. But the one darkest of dark is the mainstream media, YouTube and Google, Twitter, Apple. I just feel like people now get it. I mean, Rolling Stone wrote a whole lie article saying that ivermectin overdoses were in Oklahoma at this hospital. We're off the charts, and people were dying. And then Rachel Maddow shared it, and Joe, whatever his name is, and all these. A, it wasn't even true. B, why, if there's a drug that helps save people's lives, aren't you cheering it on? Like, what are you doing? And they're all doing it. And it's just, I just feel like the biggest criminals against humanity in the last year and a half, if you put together what the fear and stress and cognitive dissonance and hiding cures and shutting off voices like yours and many others that have just been trying to wake people up and give people, direction in a time that's very confusing. I think that they are guiltier than most. And look in Nuremberg, they didn't get away with it either. And this time social media didn't just participate, they funded it. Okay. They funded it. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I would be happy if they just pulled the plug on them all. And we went to, because a lot of people are talking about the other systems and the quantum internet and all of that. But I think they're really exposed. And I told you earlier that I have mainstream journalists that are saying, forget it. We're going to go be on your side.
Wow.
We're not doing this anymore. Where are the people that have honestly been out there fighting? Where are the people that YouTube silenced that we don't know about? We don't remember. And these are people that never followed. There's a handful of people in the first purge, and then you and I keep getting purged, but that were telling the truth. Mm-hmm. And I think I see journalists taking sides. There's some great journalists like Laura Logan and others out there that at the Post, Miranda Devine, that broke the Hunter Biden story. There are people that see the mainstream media is complicit. and they don't want to be involved anymore. And I think that's going to come more and more. And then I think that plug will be pulled. There's no building that back either. The evil is at the very top. And again, back to the Epstein boomerang. If you were at Epstein Island on a satanic ritual weekend, you are guilty. You are guilty. And we're seeing mainstream media today reporting on the Church of Satan coming out and saying that the Texas law violates their religious rights to do ritual abortions in their churches. What? It's like,
Wow.
These are headlines about the Church of Satan today in mainstream media. And acting like it's not a big deal. Who's doing which satanic churches are doing ritual abortions under the guise of religious freedom in America? That should be the biggest story for any real journalist. Who? Who? And then, and then it takes you all the way back. It's just, like I said in the beginning of the show, I see this as when they all said it was biblical and stuff. It's kind of like, okay, it's biblical. No, it really feels biblical at this point. Good versus evil. And you know what? Get on the side of good and recognize it. And if you're on the side of evil, good luck, because I think God won this.
Oh yeah, totally. And you're getting Monica Lewinsky coming back out again, saying that Clinton should apologize.
Right.
And and I think that's what's basically all of them should do right now. They should apologize because it's the
repentance. Repent now.
Repent.
Like
yes. Repent now, because you're basically going to go down here very soon.
Right.
It's very, very
and one of the real heroes to see this in Hollywood from when I was there that came out swinging, Rose McGowan yesterday, put out a tweet about Hillary Clinton being everything that is evil on this planet and all this stuff, and then saying, "I've been in a hotel room with your husband," boom, or something.
Yeah, like, the boom is about to drop, or the bomb is about to drop. Yeah, I was like,
and she knows
what's that gonna be?
Right. And I'm telling you, the Weinstein, don't forget, it was Weinstein, Epstein, Bill Clinton, and Stephen Bing, who killed himself a long time ago, jumping off the roof near CAA in Hollywood, that started the Clinton Foundation.
Wow. Yeah. So, Rose needs to be careful out there. And I'm sure she's got some really good protection, because
she is protected. I know that.
Yeah, absolutely good. And so she's really poking the hornet's nest on that one, because everyone that's ever done that in the past, ended up Arkansas-sided.
I know. Suicided. But you know what? The fact that Monica Lewinsky's story is coming out right now, and that it's coming out through a mainstream media hub that was in on that the president was on Epstein Island. These aren't coincidences. It's Spike Lee putting out a documentary that's not getting any publicity about 9/11 being an inside job right now on HBO.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I gotta watch that. Spike Lee even doing that? Woo.
Well, in on it by choice, or in on it by.
That's true. You're gonna put out this documentary, or you're gonna go down with everybody else. So, I don't know.
It's a lot of revelations at one time, and I'll tell you, look forward to September 18th. I don't care what anyone says. I am telling you, the revelations from Ghislaine Maxwell's release of her millions of documents is going to be mind-blowing. And guess what? It just coincides with the Monica Lewinsky show coming out. So,
wow. God, it's so exciting. I love this. These happy days coming. And it's,
I think that.
We have been waiting. We have been very patient. And I think that patience, wears off. It's a divine plan that's coming in. We've heard that from a lot of different people saying that. I feel that. It feels just like epic on a level that we've never seen before. It's very, very exciting.
Right. And the best part is we, the people, I believe, are really going to take back the country, because I truly believe the way forward. And, I've been touring a lot. So I'm going to Kentucky, super exciting, with great patriots. And then, General Flynn, I've been out there with him and some other people. And everyone agrees. We have the law of this land. We have the Bill of Rights. We have the Constitution. We have the Bible. We have our history. They can do what they want, but it doesn't matter. Nothing that's not constitutional in America is legitimate. So the UN is not legitimate. None of their agencies are legitimate. And we, the people, can right now have the opportunity to say, no, it's that time Jefferson warned us about, I learned that there was a huge fight between two factions, Hamilton and Jefferson and Madison. And Hamilton wanted to do the Constitution and kind of make it like DC is right now, an oligarchy, a monarchy, kind of based off of that. And Jefferson and Madison said, no way, we need the Bill of Rights. The Constitution will not hold without the Bill of Rights. But over COVID and climate change and all this crap, they've just critical race theory and all this, they basically ripped up our Bill of Rights and said, no, we're going to have a monarchy just like Hamilton wanted. And no, and now it's we the people, me and you and our viewers that go out there and are going to school board meetings and are going to city councils and are calling every county in this state, in this country, every state has the right to ask for an audit. Every county in America, people should be like, okay, we'd like our audit now. And really more because we have an opportunity to say, let's go back to the Constitution, which is the executive branch and the cabinet, the Supreme Court, which they should all be audited again and double checked for any bias that may be in there. The military, who's on NATO's side and who's on we the people's side, and 535 or something representatives of the individual sovereign states of the Union. And DC should not be a job. It should be a part-time civic duty. People shouldn't be going to DC and becoming rich. But honestly, what I just said is the only thing in the Constitution. And we, the people, have the right to reestablish it. And the best part is they keep trying to spin this domestic terrorist, white supremacist, all this BS. The truth of the matter is it's in the Constitution to start a militia when they become such despots. And the best part about us is we could have and we haven't.
Right.
If there's 400 million applications for guns since the beginning of Black Lives Matter and Antifa riots, why aren't the people using them? Because we're not domestic terrorists, because we're patriots and we don't want that.
Good point.
Yeah.
So that's Benjamin Franklin came up with the foundations for the Constitution. He got that from the Iroquois Nation. A lot of people don't know that. So I had a friend that was Iroquois, and he told me about that. And there's like statuary that has Iroquois in the background that's in DC. So they acknowledge that that's where they got that.
Right.
So we're seeing and the Native Americans have been, of all the small groups that are in America, they give more people from Native American tribes have served in the military than any other. So they're definitely patriots. And I have a lot of them that have come forward and have talked to me and said and shared some really good stuff.
Great.
Said prayers for me. So it was really good.
That's
very
awesome.
helpful. I know, right? And so I think as we go forward, we as a nation, will really start to rise, and all the suppression that has happened from this deep state that we think is just recent. It's been going on for a long time. So I think that once all of these suppressive activities have been going on, since we came to America, that gets lifted, and the real revolution happens.
Right. Well, we were infiltrated. We got to take America back, and we got to take the world back. It's not maybe us first, but we're backed by about 7 billion people on this planet that just want these governments to leave us alone. You have a job, do it. It's not the job they're doing right now. That's not their job.
Right.
And we need to fire them all and start from zero. And I believe that's what's going to happen. I do think that there's going to be a new election. They can't, like Trump said a long time ago, you don't rob Tiffany's and keep the diamonds when you're caught, so we'll see.
That's true. And I think a lot of these people that have like we've been talking about are going to say I was forced to do that. It's like, let's look at that a little bit. No, you enjoyed what you did, and you did it a little bit further than you're supposed to. So now's the time to basically, like they were trying to get Clinton, and that's to show all of them, not just Clinton, but all of them, that hey, we're gonna like push on the top guy. You're top guy. All of you need to take notice on this. So we'll see a round of people turning, I think, real quick here, and then the hammer drops.
Right. Because I don't think anything's an accident. I don't think that the people that just did what they did in Afghanistan to try to keep the forever wars going are incompetent. I think it was on purpose, but I think it's a sting. I think it's all a sting. I do. And again, God wins.
Absolutely. And that's a good one to end it on. Thanks, Mel.
Oh,
It's
I
my
love
pleasure as
seeing you,
always.
and good luck in Florida. I'll be there soon myself.
Yeah, look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, me too. See you
All right.
later. Thank you.
Thank you.